So, good morning. Today I went over to Davita. I've actually been there 2 days in a row. Yesterday I went for my regular appointment because last week I had actually skipped quite a few. I wasn't able to make my first appointment because I had a meeting that I needed to get to. I'm actually part of the Southern Arizona Blues Heritage Foundation board. I know, so cool, right? I'm learning a lot from that group, and I think I've gone to like 3 meetings now, but I'm really wanting to focus in on that. And so I had to, I don't know, there's a lot that goes on with it. So I felt like I couldn't do a collection to get ready for my appointment that day. And so I ended up having to reschedule that appointment. And then my car broke, and thankfully it's fixed. Yay, my son came to the rescue, to be honest. Not only that, but he also paid for it. And then his friend fixed it, and everything's fine. But I'm so glad that he's safe, and actually ended up, he was driving it and then went to work and realized once he got to work that there was an issue with the oil. And so thankfully he was able to park it, and it was safe overnight. And so anyways, long story short, it's fixed. It's good. But that happened last Friday or something like that. And so I wasn't able to make that appointment either because I have to drive across town. So I know that there's a way to use Access, or maybe it's United Health has a way to get you to your doctor's appointments if you can't. But I've never used that system before. Now, I really like to Uber. I think Uber's just fun. I like taxi cabs. I like riding the bus. Like, I'm not ashamed to that or ashamed to do that. But I'm also like not wanting to go outside and wait for them in the sun. So there's also that. Like if it was winter, no problem. Like I could ride the bus there. I'm pretty sure I could figure out how to do that, but not with my collection because that would be kind of weird. But a regular like doctor's appointment, I'm sure I could figure that out. However, thankfully my car's fixed, so I don't have to worry about it. So I went yesterday and I had blood work done because I kind of lapsed, I guess, for my visits. Then there wasn't a way to know whether or not I needed an iron shot, which is fine because technically I don't know. Like sometimes I go there and they're like, oh, you need some iron, and I feel fine. And then other times I'm super tired and I'm like, I can't even get out of bed. And they're like, oh, no, you're fine. So I don't know. I do know that I am fasting for 100 days. I mean, I keep saying that to people. They're like, 100 days? No, I'm fasting for 100 hours, which feels like 100 days. My first day was Monday. So basically Sunday night, I would say, let me think about this because, because Sunday so Sunday was Mother's Day. So Mother's Day was super cool. My son, who's not normally a celebratory type of person, was like, Mom, Katie wants to go to Angry Crab here in Tucson. And so that was my first time going there. I have been to a place that was similar to that, and I didn't like it because they brought out the lobster with its tentacles. Ugh, I just can't deal with it because you guys know I can't deal with cockroaches. I kind of felt weird because I was like, I didn't feel bloated, but I felt heavy. So we went to the gym. I had drained. A friend of mine had pretzels. And so I started to eat her pretzels. And these are just like dollar pretzels from Fry's, right? It's nothing fancy. I don't eat processed foods, but I really felt like I needed to soak up the salt or something. It was weird. Anyways, so I ate the pretzels, and that was the last thing I ate on Sunday night. So basically I was done munching by probably 8 or 9. So that's when my fast started. All day Monday, all day Tuesday. Today is Wednesday. So by tomorrow this time, I should be done with my fast. And I'm going to tell you, I feel great. I will say, let me go back to the seafood, that Sunday night I did come home and I ended up doing an exchange because I felt so off and kind of heavy. And the next day I went and saw Deborah at DeVita, which was yesterday. And I was telling Deborah, like, I just decided I needed to do this exchange because I felt heavy and I felt slightly off, not sick by any means, but it's just kind of like we have dialysis brains. So you might feel just off. It's weird. It's not sick. It's heavy. I don't know. Anyways, so I did an exchange, and there have been times that I've done overnight exchanges, which is a little uncomfortable because you're just kind of puffy while you're going to bed. But it's not impossible, and you definitely still can get a good night's sleep. And I woke up the next morning and I did an early exchange at like 6 or 6:30. And when I have drained before overnight, I probably pull maybe 100. So I put the 2,000 in, and then I have to pull out extra after that, right? So I usually pull up 2,022 maybe at the most. I did 24. So that means 2,000 plus 400. And that means that I did have a lot of, I don't want to say toxins, but that's really what it is. Like, I wasn't infected with anything, but you just need to get it out. And my body, thanks to my kidneys, just doesn't process it that way anymore. And so I'm so glad that I did my exchange, because that was what proved that I knew that I was not feeling well and that I needed to adjust. So that day I ended up doing like 4 exchanges. And that's okay. You know, sometimes that just happens. And she was telling me that she noticed, like, sometimes I do more exchanges than what I'm prescribed to do. And I said, yeah, because sometimes I just feel like there's something off and I need to get that stuff out. Not a lot of times. And there's sometimes that I only end up doing 2 exchanges. And that happens when there's something really awkward going on with us on a Saturday or on a Sunday. And I just focus real deeply on making sure that I'm not going to overeat, or I'm not going to overdrink, or, you know, do something chaotic with my diet, because you can't skip. Like, you're not supposed to skip any exchanges, which I've never done. I've always done an exchange every single day, but I'm supposed to do 3. And so this time I ended up doing 4, which was fine. So anyways, that was Mother's Day. So anyways, then today I saw Dr. Olivier, and ironically, all my lab results showed up like right on time, because Deborah was like, well, I don't have any lab results from you from yesterday, but, you know, things should be fine because you're usually fine. And then all of a sudden they showed up. So I was able to feel better about that. Another thing that we talked about was whether I could eat jackfruit, because we got some at Lily's Market, and I was worried about trying it because I Googled it, because all of a sudden it dawned on me, like, am I supposed to eat this? Am I allowed to eat this? Because there's certain foods that I'm just not allowed to eat, like beets. I can't eat beets unless they've been cooked. Like, there's something in beets that are really hard on the kidneys. And so I decided to Google the jackfruit, and I asked them, and they were like, yeah, you know, in moderation, maybe a little bit. And I'm like, yeah. And then we talked about how smelly jackfruit is. And I'm like, yeah, that's how I noticed it was there, because I've always wanted to try it, but it's a giant watermelon-sized fruit, and once you cut it open, it smells really bad. And then, you know, to eat it, that's a lot. Like, that's a lot for us. And it's just me and Dottie, and maybe just me. And so I was glad that he said, like, no, you can have a little bit and just, you know, see how that goes. And then we started talking about other fruits that were really smelly, and you get it in Asia. And so he was talking about that because he travels quite a bit. So That's kind of cool too, because he like does travel, which means that he's aware of other foods than just Western diet. And I appreciate that because I've traveled, and you know, when you have traveled outside of your comfort zone, which is either your town or your city or your state or your country, it's just a different vibe. So, anyways, I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good day. Drink your water. Bye bye.